Welcome back to the Valicites podcast, the show for accountants, FP&A leaders, controllers, and CFOs who want to understand leadership, operations, and AI and how it's reshaping the future of business. I'm your host, Albert Ramos. Today's guest brings an incredible mix of software innovation, pricing, psychology, and entrepreneurial insight to the world of accounting and professional services and finance. Irene Seelig is the co-founder and CEO of AccountGroove. I'm sure you heard of them. It's so exciting. It's a proposal to billing platform that's revolutionizing how accounting firms sell and price and automate their services. Her journey started with building custom software for global brands, and you know this brand like Adidas, but Irene soon realized that too many women-led service firms, hers included, were building businesses that didn't scale. That's when she made the pivot, not just to automation, but to strategic pricing and productization. With AccountGroove, Irene helps accounting and service-based firms turn insight into revenue by using three-tiered pricing. We're going to talk about that, as well as value-driven proposals. So important. We're going to hit on that too. And plug-and-play automation. She's a coach. She's a great person. She's a builder, a pricing advisor to a growing number of firms, and it's growing, exponentially. If you're looking at it, they're looking to finally reclaim owners' time, as well as, so important, charge what they're worth. So in this episode, we're going to dive into, as I mentioned, the three-tiered pricing system, as well as how you can close premium clients, what most firms, this is important, get wrong about proposals and timing, how automation frees up to lead instead of chasing the admin work, the rise of women-led firms in the accounting and advisory space. I'm so excited to hear about that. Why niche firms are winning and how to find your niche. And finally, if we get time, her thoughts, Irene's thoughts on Valicites. But we'll see. I want to chat about all things AccountGroove. So let's jump right into it. Irene, welcome to the Valicites podcast.
Thank you so much, Albert, for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk all the things three-tiered pricing and how we can get more people to, start upselling and attracting premium clients.
I'm so excited because I got to say, and for those out there, I'm a huge fan of AccountGroove. It's helped me, right? I had a different mindset when it came to my pricing, my timing, my hourly, the old school hourly approach for my work. And I met Irene. And as I mentioned, she's not only a great business person, a great founder, a great CEO, a leader, she's also a great person. And I'm just so excited for people, for those that don't know you, to get to know you and get to learn about how AccountGroove can help them. It's been phenomenal for my business as well as other clients that I know of. And so I'm excited to jump right in.
Yeah, thank you, Albert. That's humbling. I'm so glad to hear. Of course, we've worked a lot together to reshape your pricing and have a look at that. You were already, on the nose doing a lot of great things, and just tweaking a few things, I feel like really, helped you out in terms of your business. So yeah,
Huge.
excited to see,
Yes,
how Strategio continues to, scale.
I love it. Well, what was the turning point, Irene, that led you to build AccountGroove?
Yeah, so great question. It's an interesting one. So yeah, we started, me and my co-founder, we were building out custom tech, like you were mentioning, for 1% of brands, household name brands like Adidas, Burberry. And what we were doing there is helping them, build custom virtual e-commerce. And basically what ended up happening is I was spending so much time from proposal
Mhm.
to billing and getting paid on time. And also just like the initial discovery phase, right? And having that discovery call and then landing them quickly. And then from a pricing perspective, right? You're always wondering as a service provider, am I pricing high enough? Am I pricing too high? And really trying to nail that is impossible, right? If you don't have the right systems in place.
Right.
So we went out on the market as solution providers, and people who always see, there's a solution out there, and didn't really find anything in terms of, a lot of outdated tech, especially in the accounting space.
Right.
And if there's anything newer, it's really taxing accountants' growth, and not putting the accountant or user first. So we wanted to build a platform that was actually putting the service provider first or the accountant first so that we could offer a lot of different types of features that actually benefit their business. So we have a lot of, various users inside of our platform that are in the very early stages and some, in between, and then others who are looking to really grow their practice and sell their practice. And so that's what AccountGroove is really for, is for dialing all of those bits and pieces in so you can, depending upon how you want to grow and, how big you want to get, there's something for everyone. And again, there was nothing really out there for that was putting the accountant
Right.
first and thinking about them in mind when building the front end and the back end. So
Yeah, you're so spot on. And, a lot of firms from startup to even mature struggle with understanding, do I have the right pricing? And that's what I loved about you and Account Groove is the
mhm.
data that you had, because you didn't just recommend or advise, but you said, here's the data and this is what the data is saying. So what do you think's going on with, why do most firms and service-based companies struggle with pricing? And then let's jump into how the benefits of the three-tiered pricing,
Yeah.
how that's benefited a lot of your clients and your prospective clients.
Yeah, definitely. So pricing, right? Historically, it's been hourly or,
Right.
not getting paid until tax season. And so having a reoccurring model for them and pricing structure is huge. Of course, there's a lot of accountants who are switching into advisory, which is fantastic. And that's one of the reasons why we also dove deep into this space was because when we were selling our last business, being a service-based business, we were working so much with our bookkeeper, our accountant, and we saw this shift. And we also thought, hey, we should actually be paying them more for the value that they're providing.
Wow.
And so diving deep on pricing psychology, so things like three tiers, utilizing price anchoring, those can really help out, not only incorporating, like if you are still doing hourly, transitioning, of course, into value-based, but then also seeing a lot of hiccups when it came to value-based and how people were actually incorporating that. So thinking about like bottom-up pricing,
Mm.
kind of still looking at those hours and kind of trying to figure out, okay, am I covering what I'm spending on an hourly basis? And seeing a lot of firms like checking this annually. And with AccountGroove and integrating those three tiers, and what we do a lot of the times coaching on those three tiers is looking at your value. What are you really providing to
Mm.
your clients? Looking at not just, okay, let's not list your services in your proposal inside of those three tiers. Let's also provide what is the value there that you're really providing, and looking at a lot of the pain. So during your discovery calls, really figuring out, okay, where's their biggest pain point? What am I going to solve for them? Turning that into a solution, outlining that inside of your proposal, inside of your three tiers. And so, yeah, like I mentioned, we do a lot of coaching on that aspect because it's a mindset shift. Of course,
Right.
it can be a little scary for a lot of folks too. I mean, I was there once before. We were like, oh, I just want to land this client. But in actuality, with the three tiers, you're putting the, decision making inside of your client's court, from a perspective of, instead of like here's one package based off of the discovery call, this is what I think you need. You're putting, by still doing those three tiers, you're saying, hey, what level of impact do you want to have on your own business?
Mhm.
Here's the value I can provide you. And then utilizing price anchoring as well is a great tactic. It's basically positioning your middle tier to sell through. And
Right.
so we see 71% of the time that middle tier is being selected, or if not higher. And then, yeah, there's also some great tricks where, okay, your middle tier is starting to be chosen time and time again. Let's move that to your first tier now because your value is being perceived. You're starting to hone in on your services for your specific niche. And that value is speaking more volume to your clients in terms of, yeah, I can definitely afford this. I need this in, my business so that I can grow. Right. So, yeah, it's a direct feedback loop that happens. So you're getting real time data on how you're pricing, opposed to being left in the dark, wondering, okay, do I go off of market rate,
Yeah.
or inflation, when really it should be going back to, again, the value that you're providing. So,
Value. I love that. And I like what you're saying. It's data coupled with this psychology of
mhm,
pricing, right? And they go hand in hand. I love that. And I remember going through it myself, and I started sweating bullets a little bit because you don't want to lose existing clients, or even, as you mentioned, lose out on a prospective client. But you said, as you move into this value base, you need to think about actually increasing your prices. And so I thought that was it was such a great conversation and great coaching directly from you and from your team. What do you think is holding people back? Someone like me, the fractional CFO, or maybe the accounting firm, or whatever type of client, what holds them back from wanting to increase their prices when the value's there?
mhm,
And then the proposal process, I thought, was amazing with AccountGroove, because you're right. I mean, doing all of that manually and updating it, and all, it's a big time anchor, right? So
mhm.
the ability to automate it and set it up from the get-go with AccountGroove, and then get it pushed out, right? Have the actual payment process automated, right? Have the selection of your tiers automated. I mean, it's so professional. It's very executive first class, as I would call it. But can you walk us through the psychology of the actual not client but owner that's pitching, but
Yeah.
then also the proposal process and how that can help close even faster?
Yeah. So, from a psychology perspective, of course, and especially with firms, if they're just starting out, or have been in for a while and know that their niche is price sensitive, it can be a scary, process in the beginning to kind of shift your mindset. So, it's definitely a shift in mindset, because the industry, again, has been rooted more in like this hourly type of billing. And then, it's having this more like advisory service approach to, and having, check-ins monthly, or
Mhm.
check-ins quarterly. All of that, again, is like a mindset shift that these business owners, or even from a person, if you're working with person couple on their finances, they want to know how they're going to be able to grow, right? Or
Right.
grow their portfolios, et cetera. So, yeah, looking back at the accountant itself, pricing can be a difficult thing in terms of really knowing, okay, what can what can your client afford? And, we all kind of go through that in any industry, of thinking about, what can my client afford? I want to land them.
Right. What's the
Uh,
budget?
yeah, what's the budget? But it's impossible to nail down, right? If you're just offering that one tier. And so that's why the three tiers can be your safeguard, knowing that, okay, my one, so for instance, we had someone that she's been, in practice for, 10 years plus. And she was already doing value based billing. She was automating a lot of what she was already doing in terms of proposals to billing,
Mhm.
but she wasn't adding tiers. So we tested it out with her, saying, okay, why don't you just add one more? See what happens. Add a few extra little services, communicating that value that you're providing. And what ended up happening was amazing. They ended up, even though after the discovery call, they ended up choosing that higher tier. And so, again, because pricing and trying to, feel like you're going to nail it with a one package, testing it out with just one more, and then adding the three tiers really helps you to safeguard, to know that, okay, well, I'm not going to lose the client, because my initial package or pricing I was going to offer is that baseline tier, right? So it's a way in which you can, yeah, just safeguard what you're doing in terms of, yeah, I want to land this client, but it gives them the option again to choose. So,
Yeah, it's so good. And I
yeah,
remember you challenged me and coached me, but I call it challenging.
yeah,
You challenged me not only on lifting up the pricing, and right, there's the basic supply and demand, there's budget or reservation price? What are they
Hmm.
willing to spend? But then also like digging into what you know you're worth. And I really appreciated that about you, because had I not been introduced to Account Groove and spent time with you, I would have been undercutting myself,
Yeah.
right? And that's not great. As I'm looking to grow, scale, right, have better margins. You, AccountGroove, helped me get there. And I know you've helped so many other people. And then that proposal process has just been so seamless, so that I don't have to worry. I could just love the one you're with. I could spend time with the person I'm connecting with and wanting to help and serve.
Mm.
And I don't need to worry about the administrative stuff. But there was one thing, and I've stolen this from you. I never would send the proposal. I used to call it the engagement letter, scope of work. I would never send it immediately after discovery. Account Groove makes it so easy to do so. And that was part of your coaching. And I've followed you on LinkedIn as well. I've seen that coaching you give others.
Yeah.
And it's been so helpful. Can you walk us through that? And what's the magic behind that? Why do you give out that? And what's the data tell you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So from basically, we've also a lot of the proposal platforms out there that we've seen, they allow you to add brochures or add all this I call fluff,
Mhm.
basically. That all that, I mean, it's great information. All of that should be done in a discovery call, right? Or they find it on your website, or they find it in your newsletter or on LinkedIn. So coming once they get to that proposal phase and they're like, okay, I'm ready to buy, they want to get as quick as possible to that service page and really going through and being like, okay, again, putting the mindset back, or that, frame of mind back for the client itself, being like, what level of impact do I want to have on my business or my personal finances? So yeah, when we built out Account Groove, you have a quick intro, page talking about, again, taking those pains from the discovery call, putting them into the intro as solutions and the value you're providing. And then you go to the service page, and in that service page, that's where you have your 3 tiers, again, talking about the value with each tier, and then taking payment detail up front. So, a lot of people are still on QuickBooks or doing PDF or selling
Right.
on the phone. And this way you can automate that whole process. So as soon as they select a package, you're off and running actually with all your invoices. Those are automatically created. You don't have to go in and adjust, create those yourself. And then going to the engagement terms, like what you're speaking about. So putting those in there too, and not having a separate, solution to then send the engagement. And then the timing of everything, right? So you really want to, on your discovery call, set up a proposal call, walk them through, make that the same week if you can,
Mhm.
or, shortly after, if it's a Friday, put it on a Monday, right? And jump in with them and then go over again what are your pain points, and kind of being able to really answer objections in real time with them
Right.
is key. So yeah, bundling basically, a 7-step process into one simple app that they can open on their phone, open on their computer, have a browse, look at what kind of services they want to have for that year, or whatever the contract term length is, and select, add payment details, and everyone's off to the races,
I love it.
So it's really streamlines everything. And again, going back to the data point, it's huge. And, pricing psychology, being nervous about what you're pricing, you're going to be able to get that real time feedback based off of their decision. And then you're going to be able to improve from there. So it's
Right.
no longer, guessing in the dark what they can afford, and guessing how can you scale your practice. And you'll start to see, the type of the clients that you have. If you've selected a niche, it's really going to help you to then start honing in your services for that specific niche, which is quite exciting. So I love working with practices who have a niche already in mind, and then honing in that value, like switching up the language so it really actually communicates to their language, right? So, for
Love it.
instance, if it's a construction company, you're going to want to name your tiers a little bit differently. Maybe your top tier is everything in the kitchen sink, right?
I like
So
it.
you need to switch things up so you're speaking their language and they feel
Right.
like they already know you because, and also that you're an expert for their specific industry because you're speaking their language.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
you're making me think of some adjustments I need to make, but some of the adjustments I already made, not
Yeah.
only just in the pricing and proposal
Yeah.
and the payment information up front, which by the way, I love how AccountGroove notifies, email, I get a text, etc. Right. But also challenging for those listening from the modern finance leader, even fractional CFOs, accounting firms, accountants, right? Charging upfront. I was always nervous about that.
Hmm.
Before you even do the work, or can we charge up front? And so I learned that from you, as well as Michael King's another one in the fractional CFO
Yeah. He's
firm
great.
space. Yeah, and he's really big about that too. So I'm like, well, they have a wealth of knowledge. They have the data. Let's try it, and it's worked.
Yeah.
I want to rewind it a little bit because you truly are the real deal. You have a wealth of knowledge, and you've done a lot. So in your past experience, how has your past experience, building software at Adidas and, as you mentioned, Burberry as well, how has that informed you in some of the decisions you made for Account Groove today?
Yeah. So, through the process of working with those top tier brands, um, understanding in terms of the timing that it takes to land those, of course, those types of enterprise deals is a little bit different. But then taking those learnings and bringing it into Account Groove was huge because I handled everything from, working with our legal team. Of course, those were lengthy
Mhm.
contracts
Yeah.
back and forth. I think we, spent 6 months just on contracts. And then looking at from a proposal side, a pricing perspective, I was in a very similar situation. When I first started that business, I was looking at our pricing and I was like, oh, I just want to land the client, right? But the psychology says too, you attract based off your pricing, you attract your level of client. So if you are looking for a premium client, your pricing better speak to that. And of course, you back that up with the services and again, the value that you're communicating from those services. So really looking at and saying, okay, yeah, they might want from an accounting perspective, right? They might want bookkeeping, but really, what is that doing for them? Okay,
Right.
it's looking at, okay, what is your cash flow for, this month? Or can I make this decision to purchase X, Y, and Z for if it's a beverage company, right? How can I make these types of decisions? So, yeah, so a lot of what I did early on in building that custom software helped me kind of look at it from a pricing perspective and psychology perspective because we started working with some startups and then we were working with they were really well-funded startups because we were doing like a lot of custom tech and then getting to, Adidas type level as well. Looking at the pricing was a big topic, for us. We were constantly going back and forth, looking at hourly. Okay, are we covering our hours that we're spending? Of course, with our big team that was building out this tech for them. But then the value piece came in, and I had
Mm.
this aha moment and thinking, and especially when we were building this company, it was during COVID. So we were doing virtual e-commerce. How can, um, customers of theirs view and experience the product at home, have an engaging experience? And so that was a huge value for them, right?
Yeah.
Because they were at a point where how am I going to connect with my customer with everyone at home? They're not coming into store, they're not going to events, things like that. So there was an aha moment around value. And so I started going deep dive into that and looking at the psychology behind pricing. And then, of course, that informed Account Group from that perspective and then wanting to coach as well. So because I went through the ringer on that and came out alive, basically, like looking at
You
okay, this,
survived.
yeah, we survived. We sold that business,
Yeah.
and yeah, just looking at the accounting space again, working with our accountant, working with our bookkeeper when we were selling. I was like, oh my gosh, they're giving us so much free advice to make this sale happen and to have the best outcome for us. Hugely value, right? So from that perspective, and then started diving deeper on the accounting space and realizing that, oh, there are a lot of people getting, wind of, hey, I am giving a lot of value to my clients and I am doing a lot for them in terms of making these types of decisions for their business to grow or sell or what have you,
Right.
make strategic decisions. And so, yeah, so dove deep on that and wanted to, provide that solution. And then also for, women, a lot of the times, pricing is, a very, it has a male type trait to it.
Mm.
And
I want
so,
to touch on that.
yeah, and helping women really, hone in on their value, what they're providing, and giving them the
Mm.
tools. Because, if you think about Netflix, no one thinks about it, but there's three tiers there. There's three tiers in so many aspects of your life when you're purchasing and making decision making processes
Mhm.
that they easily upsell you, right? And you don't think about it. So, wanting to give those tools to women so that they can grow their practice and they can have more time with their family, So,
This is such a good topic. First of all, you're very impressive. I think I've told you that a million times. I'm going to keep saying it because every
appreciate
time we
it.
chat, I'm like,
You're
what is
impressive
going
as
on?
well.
What is going on? You're so impressive. And you truly are a pioneer. I mean, you're on the forefront when I talk about just inspiring and influencing so many people, including, the rise of women-led firms, right, in the accounting and finance space. And I love that you talk about this almost like it can be a male dominated or male influenced topic of pricing.
Mhm.
And I know the show and AccountGroove is not about compensation, but I can relate to what you're saying. I'm not a woman, but coaching other women around their compensation. There's a
Mhm.
lot of psychology and how you set these things up, very similar to pricing strategy. I'd love to hear about that. I mean, I see your posts. I've watched almost all the videos and the
Yeah.
publication articles about you and just how
Thank
you
you.
inspire other women. And I think this is a good opportunity again to speak to those that don't know about you, especially women leaders out there that are maybe nervous or struggling with, or maybe they're super confident. They just need this extra layer of coaching specific to pricing, or maybe even compensation. If you have any thoughts
Mhm.
about that too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting because, like, from a compensation standpoint, even in corporate, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of studies out there showcasing that men are more um, willing or um, more, they take the approach of, like, okay, every year I'm going to go and ask my advisor, okay, and my manager, I need a raise. Or maybe it's more frequently, right? So, and for women, they don't think about it that much as of like, okay, I need to tackle this as
Right.
like from a strategic perspective. And that's what I hear a lot from women that I coach. I love coaching women on this topic, but looking at pricing as strategy opposed to just the numbers. So we hear that a lot of the times where, you break down the numbers again, looking at the hourly, looking at market rate, where's inflation, how should
Mhm.
that increase my pricing? Let's take the numbers out of it and look at the strategy behind it. Working backwards too is great. I love hearing, where they want to be. So I often start the call and kind of think and say, hey, where do you want to take your practice?
Mm.
What are your goals? Do you only want to reach, 10 clients and that's enough because that'll give you enough flexibility to spend more time with your kids or your family or other projects you're working on? And then, or do you want to sell your practice? So we get, a lot of varying answers there. But based off those goals, let's work backwards. And then let's incorporate that into your pricing. So that's a really helpful way to kind of look and go about it. But yeah, just switching that mindset that pricing is more than numbers. It's really looking at like from a strategic perspective. And so, yeah, coaching women on that strategy is, yeah, it's been really fulfilling and exciting to
I could,
see the outcomes.
yeah, I could tell, and I love it. And I also love that you lead by example. You mentioned, spending time with your family or I think you posted about it recently. I read and I saw. And by the way, I love all the hiking pictures. I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
get out. Like, I need to get outside. Irene, teach me your ways.
Yeah.
But it really is. You talk about building a business that gives your life back,
Hmm.
and you demonstrate that. So for those that don't follow Irene on LinkedIn, please do, because you'll see it. But walk us through that. Like, what does that look like in practice for the women and men, those business leaders, those owners, those co-founders? What does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. So it just reminded me, I was definitely there in terms of like, you create a business, right, to have freedom. You have time freedom, right? Whatever, however you want to spend that time. But a lot of times we get so caught up in the building of the business, then servicing the clients, the operations. It's all very new,
Right.
right? And so that time freedom that you created or wanted to create just dissipates, right? it's no
Yeah.
longer it's no longer there. And I've been there. I did that. My last business, again, it was more of I created my own job, essentially, and not the time freedom. I was working, so Adidas HQ in Germany, working two different time
Wow.
zones. I was in San Diego at the moment, so Pacific to European time zone. It was a little bit wild.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah, it was tough. And so having these types of tools again, and through automation, uh, through AI, we're thinking about and adding a lot of like that kind of stuff as well in there to have a system in place that really helps your flow so that you can be very effective with your time and then spend more time with clients. And so, yeah, so that's why, AccountGroove, we're all about automation, AI, but then looking at and getting those systems in place. So we do talk to a lot of firms as well, who are just starting out and they think, oh, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to automate. I don't have enough clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, question this. And I also think, I've been there before and it's a mindset shift, but
Right.
you actually need to put these systems into place at the start, because then you'll wind up a year, 2 years later, wondering where did my time go? Like through all
Or
these
burnt
different,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
burnt out from your business and
Yeah.
wanting to quit your own job that you created, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, having the right systems in place early on from the start is key.
So
So
good.
when building Account Grove, that's what was one of the missions too, and also what we've done internally as well to make sure that we don't get to that burnout stage.
Yeah.
I've felt burnout, I've had burnout. So for all those listeners out there, I hear you, I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not fun. So yeah, making those times to go on, hiking adventures or whatever fills your cup, is huge. And you can really do that by automating from the start,
So good.
and making sure that your pricing reflects your value and your time, so that, yeah, it scales as you scale, opposed to, yeah, you undercharging. And then again, you kind of get wrapped up into that cycle of undervaluing yourself and then not having enough time to fill your cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of saving time and even solving for pain points, whether that be cash flow, right, on your top line revenue, timing, the
Hmm.
administrative, right, and the proposal or
Yeah.
scope of work, process engagement letter, or reducing that manual work. I love that Account Groove is all about automation and AI. You've had an opportunity too to lift up the hood to Valisites. That's a
Hmm.
huge mission of ours too. Is how do we reduce that manual time? Because a lot of our audience, the FP&A leaders, CFOs, I mean, they're working, like 100 hours per week. Like, everyone stop. You don't need to do that anymore. We want to help you.
Yeah.
I'd love to get your feedback on what, as you lift up the hood quickly to Valisites, anything that you saw there that you see would be super beneficial.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think from the first conversation that we've had together, we had this direct connection on AI,
Mm,
automation. How can we streamline workflows, get cash flow accelerated, et cetera,
right.
and giving insights, through all of that to optimize a business. So yeah, Valicites, love what you're doing in terms of streamlining a lot of those manual processes when reporting, and being able to give strategic insight from where the business is today to where it needs to be in the future. Utilizing Excel and a lot of, tech, that's great, but a lot of it is, in terms of giving those types of insights, is not with the times of where we need to be today and how quickly things are moving. And so I love what you're doing because we talk, again, a lot about value and what are you providing really to your client, and
Right.
giving those minute, detailed reports of where you are today, where do you want to be in the future is huge. So, yeah, being able to save time for people, and being able to give those insights quicker so that people can make decisions with their business is huge. So yeah,
Yeah,
love what you're doing there. I'm definitely cheering you on,
I
to,
appreciate that.
yeah, get people to start converting in their mindset shift to be utilizing that type of tool. It's going to be huge for
Excellent.
them.
Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you for that and for just taking a look and providing feedback. As I think about cash flow forecasting
Yeah.
and how it goes hand in hand with, many of our clients are looking for price optimization or yield
Yeah.
optimization. And it really comes down to, if you want to beef up your margin, you got to look at the value you're offering and price. And so
Yeah.
I just see that Valicites, AccountGroove, we're going to be chatting more. I know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So there's a lot of people out there. So I actually did some posts, but also DM some people on LinkedIn where I'm pretty active as you are. And one of the things, as people were doing research about AccountGroove, and many people knew of AccountGroove, which I thought was cool. The question though that was pretty common was, what's her next big vision? Like, what's AccountGroove's big
Yeah.
vision for the next 12 months? Like, what are they up to?
Yeah. So, we're definitely, bringing on AI. There's a lot of workflow already that we're doing from an automation standpoint. Um, but because we're fully founder funded, we're able to listen to our users, our power users. What do they want to see next? So a lot of new features that are up and coming. But from a AI perspective, really, how can we start automating a lot of, because there's like this gap, right? How can we narrow in the gap of what you think your client can afford versus the level of impact that they want to have on their business, and them choosing those premium tiers, right? So we're going to be doing a lot of feature updates in that area. So I'm excited to actually show you as well, because I'm sure you're
Yeah,
going to love it. But
can't wait.
already with 3 tier, pricing psychology, things like that, it is a world of a difference. But then honing in with AI, that pricing psychology is going to be game changer to just narrow that gap even more. So
Awesome. Well, I can't wait.
yeah,
I can't wait to see. And thanks for even offering to share.
yeah,
Can't wait to take a look and chat about it. And one thing I know that our audience loves, because this has been so good, is I really appreciate you offering specific actionable steps that people can take. This is a
hmm
huge topic, right? Now, I don't think it gets talked a lot about because of the nerves that go into it. And we're just not comfortable when it comes to that exchange of dollar and pricing. This was
hmm
so good, and I can't wait for people to tune into this one and watch it or listen to it multiple times, because this is so important for your cash flow, for your business, for your margins. And
hmm
thank you again, Irene, for sharing just specifics, like actual real case use case that you can do in partnership with Account Group. I love it. So if
thank
people
you.
wanted to learn more about you and Account Group, where can they learn more?
Yeah, so go to accountgroove.com, book a demo. Happy to jump on with you and walk you through the platform, but also love giving out free custom proposals. So we have a wait list as well on our website to jump in there so that you can get your free customer proposal inspired by top performing firms on our platform. And then, yeah, we'll customize it with your branding and services so you can get a take for, what is possible for your business right out of the gate. That's what we love to do is, give you the keys right out of the gate so you can run with it. And then, yeah, find me on LinkedIn, Irene-Marie Seelig, and would love to chat.
I love it. Well, I know you're super busy. Really
Yeah,
appreciate your time. And I know the
likewise.
audience is going to love this. And I can't wait to chat again here soon.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
No, my
It was
pleasure.
fun.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So, for everyone, this has been the Valicites podcast. Again, I'm your host, Albert Ramos, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.